It's Esper, the jeans low head, high arms crossed kid with the black tee.
Since it's gonna be back to school pretty soon, I wanted to tell you guys a story about like my school experience with certain teachers and with other school staff. And I was gonna name this video like horrible teachers that I've had, except there is one specific school staff person that wasn't a teacher. That's the first person I'm going to start with. And this was in 6th grade. I know I had to be in 6th grade because that was like the toughest school year I've ever had. So all up until 6th grade, I did academically really good in school. I actually loved school. I got like straight A's all the time. I would get student of the month all the time. Like, I was just the best student ever. I had grown up in Colorado. Then my parents decided to just pack up and move us to Arkansas. We were there for a few years, then I moved back and I was starting middle school. And like I said, I'm gonna use her real name because she was such a fucking bitch. And honestly, if she had taken her job seriously and she had done what she was supposed to do, she would have saved me from like so much shit that I had to go on later with life. I was in 6th grade. I had been moving around a lot. We had moved back from Arkansas. When we did, my mom actually stayed behind in Arkansas, and it was because of work and she was trying to sell the house. So when we moved back from Arkansas, it was just me, my little brother, and my dad. And my older brother had already gone up to the army. When we came back, we actually had to live with my aunt, and we were living with her at her house. My aunt lived at the project, so we were living at the projects for a while. It was really hard for me. Like, it was such a big transition, like having to leave my mom behind and shit, and then, you know, having like to live at my aunt's house and everything. And I actually had started school, so I actually went to a middle school in Denver that wasn't that far from the projects that we were living at. After that, I moved to another school, and that's when I started to have some problems. This is so embarrassing, but it is what it is. Like, I need to tell you guys what fucking happened. So my aunt, I don't know if it was my aunt or my mom that switched us from schools. Like, I would cry, and I was already fucking like old and shit. Like, I was in 6th grade. So I would cry and shit every time that my aunt would drop us off, and I would like cry at lunch, and like I was just crying all the time, and it was like so hard. And I was like, well, I'm just like scared, and like it's so scary, like I'm like away from my mom, like my dad's staying at my grandma's house, because we were at the projects. We were staying at my aunt's house, which is my mom's sister. So my dad was staying at my grandparents' house. It was such a hard transition for me, and I don't know, my little brother dealt with it pretty good, but with me, I was just having the hardest time ever. Fast forward a few weeks, and my mom came back from Arkansas, and we got our own house, and my mom, she put us into school right away. I was nervous, but at the same time excited, because I loved school. Like, I did so good in school that it was really weird for me that I was having such a hard time. And it was even like weird for my parents, because they couldn't understand if I had done like so good for so many years, while all of a sudden I was like having such a hard time. I started at my new middle school. I was having a really hard time here again. And my mom, she would drop me up, and I would be crying. I remember there was a few times where I'd be sitting in class and I would be crying, and I was like so scared, and I would be like shaking and shit. And then every morning when I had to go to school, I would wake up and I would feel so nauseous. It was getting to the point where my mom, she was getting so fed up that she didn't know what to do. So this is where the main person in the story comes into play. So this counselor's name was Miss Della Garza, and she was a fucking bitch. When I'm saying that she was a bitch, I mean that she was a bitch. Like, she was the worst motherfucking school staff person I ever had to deal with, and I had to deal with a lot of shitty ass people. And she was the fucking worst. Like, and it makes me so mad, because I'm like, you know, you're there to help kids. So if you don't like kids, or if you seem to have a problem with kids, I don't understand why you're working in a motherfucking school. But let me tell you what she did. I would have all these times where I'd be freaking out and shit. And so my mom, you know, she reached out like to the school to see like if there was any way that they could help me, you know, because they had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on with me. I just knew that I was like freaking out. This was like the first signs of anxiety that I was showing. I didn't know that that's what it was. I honestly had no idea what anxiety was. Neither did my parents. Like, we're really Mexican. What the fuck is anxiety? Like, we don't know. This counselor, she was just like so fed up with me and stuff, and she just told my mom that she just had to force me to go to school. I was just, you know, doing this for attention and this and that. Like, bitch, are you not a counselor? Do you not know that I fucking was showing signs of anxiety? But no, You know, I was just doing it for attention. It was so hard, you guys. I mean, that year of school was the fucking worst. Instead of this counselor trying to figure out what was wrong with me, she just told my mom I was doing it for attention. And, you know, I feel like any well-trained counselor would know that I was showing signs of anxiety, but no, I was just doing it for attention. So, fast forward that same year, this was the only time I was ever bullied in school. And thinking about that shit, I'm like, fuck, like, I wish I would have fought those bitches then. Because fuck that. But at the time, like, I was so, like, I was, you know, dealing with my anxiety, even though I didn't know it was anxiety. Like, I was so scared all the time. I was so on edge all the time. Like, school was so hard for me. So there was two bitches that decided that it would be cool as fuck to bully me. Like, fuck those bitches. They thought it would be like cool to bully me and shit, and they would give me such a hard time in school. It was like hard, and one of my cousins that was living with us at the time, she was like, why don't you just fight them? If this shit had happened during like my rebellious time, like when I was in high school, I definitely would have fought them. It would have just happened. But at this time, I was like dealing with a lot, and I come from a Mexican family, and my mom was Mexican as fuck. So if I would have gotten in trouble over fighting, I would have gotten an ass whooping as soon as I got home. If I would have done anything disrespectful at school, I would have got my ass whooped at home. So I was like, fuck that. At that time, I was so afraid of my mom because she laid down the law. Like, she laid down the law. You know, and if you have Mexican parents, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's how it was. So I'm like, I can't do anything because if I stand up for myself and if I get in trouble, I'm gonna get my ass whooped as soon as I get home. If I decide to fight these bitches, I'm gonna get my ass whooped as soon as I get home. If I do anything that's gonna get me into any sort of trouble or a call home, I'm gonna get my ass whooped as soon as I get home. So I decided best case thing I could do was just tell my mom, you know, that like some bitches were bullying me at school. So I told my mom, and I told them about like all the fucked up things that these bitches would do to me, and like it's just so I like look back and I'm like, fuck, I could have just socked one of them right in the throat, just but I didn't. So I told my mom. You know, my mom, what she was like, you know, she went to go talk to the school. Lucky for her, she got to go talk to Miss De La Garza. And what did Miss De La Garza do? She told my mom I was fucking lying. She told my mom I was fucking lying, you guys. This bitch. First of all, why the fuck would I be lying about getting bullied? And those bitches were always getting in trouble at school. So, you know, why the fuck would I be lying? And you know them bitches are trouble. So why the fuck would I be lying? It just... yeah, man, fuck that shit. So the next year, because I continued to go to that school, the next year I started to rebel a lot. And it wasn't as bad as it was in high school. So I was like barely showing some signs that I was ready to rebel and shit. But, you know, it was like hard because that really showed me that the school staff didn't give a fuck about what you were going through, you know. So if you were getting bullied and shit, fuck that, you better deal with that shit on your own because the school staff is not gonna help you. You know, even though I didn't know I had anxiety, I just knew that regardless of whatever I was going through, I was gonna go through it myself. I don't know, like, I can't remember if Ms. De La Garza was still a counselor at the school at that time, like when I was in 7th grade and shit, but yeah, like, I never forgot all that shit. At that time I was showing, you know, signs of anxiety, and now I've been diagnosed with severe anxiety, and at the time I was showing like severe anxiety. But you know, Miss De La Garza's bitch ass said I was just doing it for attention. You know, someone that's been a fucking straight A student, been fucking student of the month all the time, honor roll and all that shit, was doing that shit for attention. Miss De La Garza, I remember that bitch being old as fuck when I was in school, unless I don't remember her correctly, like what the fuck she looked like. But I really hope that bitch is no longer in schools, because the way that I see it, if you don't have patience for kids, you don't know how to deal with kids, do not get a job where you're gonna have to be dealing with kids. It's not fucking rocket science. But, you know, for whatever reason, Ms. De La Garza thought that she wanted to be a fucking school counselor and shit, and there she was fucking ruining my life. So, fuck that bitch. She's fucking trash. She should not be working with kids, and I hope that bitch don't work in schools no more. Because she, you know, like, it just... the route that she took and the way that she handled my situation and the shit that I was going through and the responses that she had from my mom, just, you know, like, her actions say everything about her. Like, this bitch should not be in school. She should not be around kids because she fucking doesn't. Like, did this bitch go to school? Did she? Yeah, so fuck you, Ms. Dela Garza. You're a fucking bitch. I fucking hate you. I hope that you are no longer working in schools. Anyways, so now that we got that bitch off the list, we're gonna go to the next people on our list. So in high school, I can only think of, off the top of my head, I can only think of 2 teachers that fucking sucked. Mind you, none of these were as bad as Ms. Dela Garza. Fuck that bitch. She's like #1 on my shit list. She's #1 on the fuck you, you fucking suck list. But, you know, these other ones, they fucking suck too, but not as bad as Ms. Dela Garza. In high school was just, I really just rebelled. Like, I just rebelled so much. I was saying earlier, my mom, she was so tough with us and shit. My dad, he just backed up whatever my mom said and shit. But my mom, she was like laying down the law. You did something wrong, my mom was right there. You know, ass whoopings if you fucking didn't know how to do shit. When I came into high school, I just decided, you know what, fuck that. You know, like, my parents, they got me fucked up. My mom, she like, you know, she be holding me so tight, fuck that. I ain't gonna deal with that shit no more. So in high school, I just rebelled, and I didn't really give a fuck about my grades. I didn't give a fuck about attendance. I didn't really give a fuck about anything. Starting into 7th grade and shit is when I started like smoking weed, and then by the time I was like 14, 13, I was already drinking and shit, and, you know, smoking and shit. So I would be like ditching and shit, and we'd go smoke with my friends, or, you know, we'd go to parties and shit, like ditching parties and get drunk as fuck and just do a lot of stupid shit that I didn't need to be doing. Surprisingly, I didn't have a lot of trouble with many teachers. I feel like a lot of teachers knew that I was just rebelling and shit, but, you know, I would show up to class and shit, ay de vez en cuando. But there was one fucking teacher, man, fuck him too. Okay, well, let me tell you guys what he did. He was just a really strict ass teacher, and I'm not gonna say his name because whatever. Like, I think he still teaches there. From what I seen on Facebook, you know what I mean? He was just a dick. I feel like that's what he was. He was just a dick. And I remember it was in a certain class, and I can't tell you guys what class it was, but fuck, in that class, it was one of my favorite subjects. But I honestly started to fail just because I would ditch a lot, and then when I would go to class, I'd be high as fuck. And, you know, sometimes when you're just high, you just feel like you know everything. And I remember I'd go in during the test and shit, and I'd be like lit as fuck. And I'd go, you know, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna make this test my bitch. And I would just go in, I'm like, fuck, this shit's so easy. I know how to do this. Okay. So I would get really bad grades on my tests. It was like around whenever we take the finals, I was barely, like, I was on the mark that I was either gonna pass or I was gonna fail. I remember this specifically because I sat in the very back of the room. I don't know if it was a science teacher, if that's just where I sat, but I remember I sat in the very back of the room. I remember that we were gonna take our finals and shit, and the teacher told us that this was gonna make or break our grade. And I knew I just had to, like, hit a certain amount for me to pass. The teacher told us to take our tests and shit, and he was like, well, when you guys are done, like, just sit there. Don't do shit. Just sit there. And I was like, what? Like, just sit here? Whatever, because I remember at my school they did like some weird ass shit where some days, like Wednesdays or some shit, the class would be like an hour and a half, and I think this was one of those days. So I did my test and shit, and I was done. So I was just sitting there, and I was like, fuck, like, well, he told us we couldn't really pull anything out, but let me just check my makeup. So, you know, I was there, took my mirror out of my backpack, and I was like, you know, just checking my makeup and shit, and I seen him looking at me, and he was just like looking at me. And I was like, and then he was just looking at me. And, you know, I was like, what the fuck? Then I seen him writing some shit down. I was like, why? I fucking don't know. Fast forward to when we fucking get our grades. Guess who got a 0 on their final? A 0 on their fucking final. Me, bitch. And then another weird sketchy thing is I would be... like, there was a way that you could cheat on your homework sometimes. So I would, like, cheat on my homework and shit sometimes. There would be things that I knew that I'm like, I'm gonna get a perfect grade on this and shit. And I would turn it and somehow my shit would disappear. Or he didn't get it. Like, how the fuck did you not get it? Yeah, it was weird shit like that where my, like, a lot of my work was always disappearing. Or he didn't get it. And even shit I wouldn't cheat on. So I'm like, I don't know if he knew I was cheating or what the fuck. I fucking failed that subject. And I had to take the same motherfucking class for 2 years, you guys. 2 years. But yeah, he was a fucking dick. But I mean, I guess he wasn't a dick to everybody because my brother Jesus said he loved him. So I fucking don't know. I think he just kind of like picked some kids that he was like, you know what, I don't like that person. I don't like that person. And with me, I think he just was like, you know, I don't like that little bitch. She looked like she up to no good. And he was right. But I mean, I was a very respectful kid to my teachers and shit, so I don't know. So let's see, let's get on to another teacher, and I have a feeling some people are gonna know who I'm talking about, but I mean, I'm not gonna say her name, so what the fuck y'all want me to do? She was mean as fuck to me. She was not, you know what, I'm not even gonna say what subject it is just because I know some people I went to high school with watch my channel and they're gonna be like, nah, she was sound like fuck no, she wasn't. She was a bitch also. And I had this teacher before and she was really, really nice. But then I had her like a year later or whatever. Oh my god, she was such a fucking bitch, you guys. I would ditch her class a lot because it was really easy to ditch. But I would show up ahí de vez en cuando and shit just to show that I was still in the class. And whenever I would go to the class, she would always be singling me out and shit. And she would always be like, whenever I was trying shit, she's like, that's not the way that you do that. And there was one time I remember I was like texting my mom and she could come pick me up because I just had some like health-ish kind of problems that there's just too much to talk about on YouTube. But I would need my mom to pick me up a lot during these times. Basically, that's all I'm gonna say. And I was like texting her whenever, and I was sitting next to my brother Jesus, and she like see me from fucking across a big ass room, and she was like, Claudia, come here, da, da, da. And then she was like, who do you think you're texting? And I was like, my mom. She's like, I don't care if you were texting the president, you don't need to be texting that. She took my phone, whatever. And my brother was like, how the fuck did she see you? And I was like, right, because we were all sitting, like a bunch of us and shit, and a bunch of people were on their phone too. And they were like not even despistándola and shit, because she had her favorites. Like I'm like doing a little secret and shit, singing out with my brother, and she fucking singled me out. And I was like, man, fuck her and this class. Instead of coming to this class where teachers always gonna be singling me out, making me feel like I'm dumb as fuck. Fuck that. Fuck that. Aren't you supposed to be a teacher? You're here to teach, not to fucking have your favorites and shit, be all weird as fuck with some students, whatever, whatever. And I know some people, if you guys see this shit, like, I know some people are like, no, like, she was so great, she was so not. No, the fuck she wasn't to me. And my brother with her witnessed that shit. And you know, with these two teachers that I talked about in high school, like, you know, I can already hear some people being like, no, they just wanted you to try better and this and that, you know, because I was fucking up a lot. But no, fuck that. No, they weren't. Because there's one teacher I'm gonna tell you guys about that. He was good as fuck. Like, I'm not gonna tell you guys all about him, but you know, there was a teacher and he was a Spanish teacher, and I don't know if I should say his name because I'm not saying anything wrong about him, because he was tough with us, but he was there for us. You know, he was just always there. Like, if you needed something, he would be there. Like, I had heard even sometimes that, like, when people were stranded and shit, like, the students, he would go pick them up and shit. Like, he was just going out of his way to make sure that we were going to succeed. And he was actually one of the teachers, well, actually, he was the only teacher that ever got me thinking about college. I don't remember him having any favorites. I just remember him treating us all the same, and he was pushing all of us forward. Still hear good things about him still to this day, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like, shout out to you, Spanish teacher. I can't say your name because I don't know if you want to be in this video or not. There's a big difference between teachers like my Spanish teacher, that they were hard, but they weren't like singling you out, making you feel stupid and shit, or not helping you. Like, if he heard that you were having a problem, he would be there to try to help you. And you know, there's teachers like these other high school teachers and that bitch ass counselor that, you know, like, if you had a problem and shit, they like really rode on that, you know, and they really abused their power. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Can't you guys learn something from the Spanish teacher over here? You know, what the fuck you doing? But yeah, so fuck those 3 people I just mentioned about, and shout out to the Spanish teacher. He lit as fuck. He was always respectful and shit, even though these bitch ass teachers and shit. But yeah, so that was like in high school. Either than that, I can't really. Oh no, there was another one. Ooh, a fucking substitute. I don't remember her name, but she was a fucking bitch too. She was like becoming like an assistant for one of my teachers, and I can't even remember what teacher it was. But yeah, I remember that bitch. She would always single me out, and I don't know what the fuck it was with some teacher singling me out. Because I was like, what the fuck? Like, there'd be some real dumbass kids in this class, and you guys are singling me out. It was just stupid, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe this bitch training to become a teacher. Like, you know you're not gonna be a good teacher. You'll be like the worst motherfucking teacher. Oh, I also missed. So at the school where I had that bitch ass counselor, Miss Dela Garza, at that school too, I remember there was another teacher that she was really old, or she looked really old, but she was also so fucking bitchy. And I remember because this was in 6th grade, I remember I got detention for the first motherfucking time ever, like my whole school career, because I accidentally jaywalked. Remember we went like on a field trip or a library or some shit that was like really close to school, so we walked, and me and a bunch of like other kids, we ran across, I guess, not the walkway and shit, and we got fucking detention. And I was like, and at the time, you know, like I had never been in trouble and shit, I felt so devastated. I was like, fuck, like I can't believe I got detention and shit. And even though I had gotten in trouble, my mom did not whip my ass, because I told her what happened. And then she was like, what? Because we're really Mexican, like well, I mean, I don't know if other Mexicans know, but I didn't know jaywalking was a thing. Like when we used to ride the bus and shit with my grandma in Aurora, we would run across wherever in the fucking street. And that's the way I know to cross the street. Just make sure there's no cars passing by. Just fucking run where you can to cross the street. So that's what I did, and I fucking got in trouble. But that teacher, she looked like she was really old. You know, maybe that's why she was so bitchy, but she's like the lowest on the chain of all the teachers that I mentioned. Ms. De La Garza's bitch is at the very fucking top, and then that one girl teacher that I can't tell you guys what class it was, and then that other guy teacher that fucking failed me in my final, and then at the very end, the jaywalking teacher. So if you guys don't know, I went to college, and I could tell you guys about that shit because I regret going to college so bad. Like, I wish I never had gone. And maybe it was just the college that I went to, or I don't know what the fuck, but I regret going to college. There's 2 people that I could think of in my college. I actually got in there because of that crazy bitch. What the fuck did I name her? The one in like my crazy roommate story. Whatever the fuck her name was that I like named her in that story. She's the one that got me to go into the college. I went to this college, and there's 2 school staff that I could think of. And one of them, I think he was a teacher, I don't know, but he was so fucking creepy, you guys. Watch him watch the shit, he's gonna be like, bitch, I wasn't creepy. Like, yes, you fucking were. And I remember he would do like these weird, I don't know, he just made me feel so uncomfortable. I feel like as a girl, you know when people are trying some weird ass shit with you. And he would just make me feel so uncomfortable. And I remember he had to like, I was like not going really good in a class. I think it was in accounting, because I went for like my business degree, so I think it was like accounting. And he like was gonna tutor me or whatever. And we were like sitting in his small ass office, just me and him. And I was like, bruh, like if something happens, like it's just me and this guy in here and shit. And I wasn't a minor or anything, but still, he was creepy as fuck, you guys. And I remember we were like doing this shit on the book, and he was like telling me to scoot closer, and I was like, you know, like I was kind of scared. And he was like, come on, I don't bite, at least not that hard. And I was like, bruh, like somebody call the police, somebody call my mom, somebody call my dad to come and whoop his ass, because he crossing the line. He is crossing the line. And I remember, and it's not just me that thought this, you guys, okay? He offered me a job at the school, right? I remember I had to go in for an interview, and so I told my little brother like to go in, and I hadn't told my little brother about how creepy that teacher was. Like, I just told him, hey fool, like I have an interview. Sorry, I have my daughter's shoes. I move my hands a lot. I was like, I have an interview, will you go with me? We went. He was like interviewing me and shit, and then when he told me how much I was gonna get paid, I was like, fuck that, like this is a drive. Like I'm not gonna do it like at the end of the interview, because he had told me, he was like, well yeah, like if you want the job, you got it. When we got in the car and we were driving back, my little brother, he told me, he was like, fool, you better not take that job. He's, I'm telling you, do not fucking take that job. I was like, why? He's like, because that guy is so fucking creepy. I'm gonna see you on the news because he fucking raped you or something. And I was like, right, like he is pretty weird. My little brother, like he had like a sixth sense about some shit. And I was like, that's right, I'm gonna listen to him because he knows what the fuck he talking about. Because it was true, like that teacher, that was just like, he just wanted something. I'm like, fuck that. Like I might be of legal age, but you got me fucked up. Like nothing gonna happen. Like I'm just here to fucking learn some shit, get my degree, get the fuck out. So let me tell you guys about the last school staff person that I had to deal with that was shitty as fuck. Now this bitch, she's like right under Miss De La Garza just because she was a condescending ass bitch. And she wasn't even a teacher, she was a substitute. I get the college ever need a substitute, she was a substitute. She was so fucking stupid. and she was just condescending as fuck. I think that's a perfect word for her. So this bitch, she number 2 on my shit list. She was just so fucking stupid. She felt like she was all that. Like, bitch, you a substitute. Like, you're not even our fucking teacher. We were like supposed to be doing some project shit, but I had already finished mine. We were just like there wasting time, and you know, I like texted my ride, can you come pick me up and here right then. And my son was in the car. I told her, I was like, well, are we gonna do anything? Cause like I gotta go. And she said, what do you mean you gotta go? And I was like, well, yeah, my ride's here and my son's in the car. And she was like, what? You have a kid? Aren't you a little too young to have a kid? Like, bitch. I was like, well, I'm gonna just leave, you know, like, fuck this bitch. And it was just so fucking stupid because at the time I was like 20. And, you know, I was like, so what the fuck is it to you? Like, it's like, how many times have I asked you for money to take care of my son? How many times have I asked you to take care of my son? Well, I've never asked you because you didn't even fucking know I had a kid. Oh, okay. So it doesn't make sense why the fuck you feel so entitled to tell me anything about if I got a kid or not, bitch. I'm not asking anybody for money for my kid. If you're not taking care of my kid yourself, what the fuck is it to you if I got a kid or not, bitch? I could be fucking 15 years old with a kid. That ain't got nothing to do with you. I could be 30 years old with a kid. It still ain't got nothing to do with you. Like, she was just so fucking stupid. Fuck that bitch. And she was just always doing that shit. And she was just always so condescending. And she thought she was so high and mighty and shit. Like, bitch, you ain't shit. You ain't shit. My teacher good as fuck. But you trying to substitute in his class, you ain't shit. Like, she was only a substitute for a few times. But yeah, she was so like, you know, bitch, are you here to teach or are you here to judge our lives? Because I thought I came here to learn, not to fucking be, you know, hearing some shit about I'm too young to have a kid. Bitch, what the fuck is it to you? What the fuck is it to you? Alright, so here we go. On my list of worst school staff ever, I'm gonna put a name up here. So whatever the fuck I name this list, this is the order that we're gonna go in. Let me see. Let me scoot this way. Let me scoot this way. So we could put the list right here. Hold on, give me a second. So number 1 on the list is gonna be bitch ass Miss Deli Garza. A big fuck you to you, Miss Deli Garza. Second teacher, that condescending substitute. Fuck you to you, a bitch. Number 3. We're gonna put the singling me out teacher. She a bitch. She might be teaching, I don't know, but she a bitch too. Number 4, we're gonna put the creepy teacher because he was so fucking weird, you guys. Like, fuck, he has some intentions with me. The fuck that you got me fucked up. So creepy teacher. Number 5 is a dick ass teacher that gave me a 0 on my final. He a dick, but he might be going through some shit. And number 6 is a jaywalking old teacher. So this is my list of people that got me fucked up. Number 2, you know, the first top 2 people, a big fuck you to you guys. And everybody else, man, y'all got some problems. I hope nobody else goes through this shit. I hope that you guys don't have no dick ass teachers, no bitch ass teachers, no trash ass teachers. Because that shit is hard, you guys. Like, you know, like, I graduated not that long ago. Like, I'm class of 2011. So, you know, and then I fucking graduated college in 2015. So, like, this shit's pretty fresh in my mind. If you guys are teenagers or college or whatever and you guys still go to school and shit, don't let no teacher punk you. They got you fucked up. They really need to reevaluate their career choices if they're gonna be fucked up like that. You're in school for too long to let some teachers really abuse their power. Like, if you're a teacher or you're planning to become a teacher, please be patient with the fucking kids. Like, don't abuse your power. Like, if you don't like kids, do not be a fucking teacher. Do not be a school staff person for shit. Don't be a substitute. Because y'all are ruining kids' lives just because y'all are fucked up. And so that's my story time about them fucked up teachers. Yeah, if you guys have had any shitty teachers or whatever, comment down below. Anybody that I might have talked about. You know, I didn't give nobody no names except for Miss Deli Garza because she's such a bitch. I might have not told you guys. I opened an Etsy store. So if you guys like my rave bras that I make, go to my Instagram. I'll list it right here. It's for my Etsy shop, and then I'll list my Etsy shop name below so you guys want to. And I know I only have a few things on there, but I am working on one for one of my friends, my first order. I'm so fucking excited. It's such a cute ass theme. I can't wait. And if you guys want like a customized bra for a rave, just hit me up. But not through YouTube, because I don't know how to read messages on this shit. But go to my Instagram. Not to my personal Instagram, go to my Etsy one, or go through my Etsy shop and order one. And if you live in Colorado, I can just deliver to you, so you don't have to like order it and have to pay the shipping fees. Tell me what you have in mind. I'll tell you the price, customize it. I'll have it to you in like 2 days the most, because I work really fast. Shout out to that cool Spanish teacher if he watches this shit, because he's watching me like, am I on this shit? Like, no, you're not, because you were a good ass teacher. You should teach all these other teachers and school staff how they should be doing their job. That's all I'm saying. Give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends. Tell your friends to subscribe to my channel. Also go like my Etsy page, like my Etsy Instagram page.